So for basically my entire life, I've been a quite big arguer overall. I've argued with people left, right, center, with my parents about some fucking bullshit, some people in my school about some other, like some even more bullshitty stuff overall, right? And I've I've tried to persuade people to think as I thought, right? Through words. I was trying to explain to them how I thought about things and basically get them to think like that as well. But it actually doesn't work like that. So let me explain. If we define arguments as the exchange of opposing views intended to persuade, and we define persuasion as changing someone's beliefs, and we also define beliefs as statements of perceived truth. Like if I say I believe that the sky is blue, then for me that's the truth, right? So they are statements of a perceived truth, right? If we want to change someone's beliefs, then we have to actually know what changes beliefs in the first place, right? So it's, of course, right? So there are two things that change people's beliefs. So the first thing is, including you and I as well, right? And it's not words, right? So the first thing is, no, actually, there's only one thing, and it is experiences, right? So experiences are events that you experience as a person, right? Self-explanatory. And the interesting part is that there are two types of experiences. There are sensory ones and there are imaginary ones. And sensory ones are, for example, the experience that you are experiencing right now. You are hearing with one of your senses that I'm talking to you, right? And it's basically something that you interpret yourself through your sound, through your hearing, or through your taste, or through your sight, right? All of that stuff. Your senses overall. And now the imaginary experiences are either so they're either memories from the past, or they are visualizations. And these are the primary ones that we're going to be utilizing when we're trying to persuade someone in an argument, because we're not oftentimes we're not going to be able to just show them quickly, like in the heat of the moment. Like if I'm arguing with someone and I need to show them my point, like for example, if I'm arguing with a guy about boxing and I try to tell him that the jab cross is the best combination, and he tries to tell me that the left uppercut and the right hook is the best combination, then I could show him that I'm right through like punching him with the 1-2, right? I could do that, but most often you're not really going to be able to do that. You're really going to be able to provide a sensory experience. So what you want to do instead is this: you want to provide an imaginary experience. So either a memory of yours or his, or a visualization. So for example, if memories, memories are actually the best one, right? Because they are memories is just another word for a story, right? You want to be telling a story to another person, right? Because that's actually what's gonna be changing their beliefs overall. And visualizations is something that, actually no, let me put it like this. So memories are stuff that happened in the past, and visualizations are stuff that can happen in the future, right? And you want to be utilizing one of those when you're trying to persuade someone. And most often it's going to be a memory. It's going to be something that has happened, because for the visualization, aka the foreseeing of the future, like kind of scenario to be accurate and to be right, then that person has to have experienced it, like a similar situation prior to that. Like if I present an entirely new fucking scenario to a person when I'm arguing with him, as a way to try to prove my point, right? And he has no idea that, or no, let me put it like this, and he has never ever experienced anything like that in his whole life, then he's not going to be able to relate to that, and he's not going to be able to pick up on it. Like his beliefs are not going to change, right? So most often we want to use memories, aka stories. We want to tell stories to the people that we're trying to persuade, right? So like that's why storytelling is used so much in marketing and sales on the internet overall, because it's essentially the only way to actually change someone's core beliefs about something. You're providing them an experience that has happened, which then disprove their original kind of belief, and the experience that actually got them the belief in the first place, it disproves it. Because if we think about for example a marketing internet person that's trying to sell some e-course coaching stuff, right? Not saying that's bad, right? But there are quite a lot of them, right? And those people, they need to convince you that their stuff is actually the best, right? For example, if I'm trying to sell you let's say a coaching program on dropshipping, right? Then if you don't believe dropshipping is a viable business model and I have to sell you on that shit, then I need to rewrite your beliefs, right? And that's why people tell stories online. Like people tell like a fucking they tell their origin story about how they were so broken in debt, like they were to the fucking government, and then they found dropshipping and they made so much fucking money, right? And they're telling all these stories to try to convince you that that is reality. They're trying to provide you with an alternative perceived truth, right? Another alternative truth, right? That you're gonna accept as a reality. So that's basically it, man. You want to be telling stories when you are trying to persuade people overall, when you're trying to argue with people. Because if you are like, even if you are not telling any stories and you're just stating the fucking logical facts to a person, right? And it seems like you're winning the argument. You're actually not, right? Because it is a I think it's called a Pyrrhic or like Pyrrhic victory. Yeah, that's right, Pyrrhic victory. And it's based upon the principle that you can win stuff, you can emerge victorious, but at what cost, right? For example, if the reason that there's not going to be any like nuclear World War III stuff like in our lifetime is that everyone would just lose so much. Even if the West won against Russia or some shit, and they would still have to pay a huge fucking price for that shit, and none of them is just really gonna do it, right? It's not worth it. And you want to be thinking like that when you're arguing as well, right? So you don't want to be paying you don't want to be paying the price of winning through creating enemies or through creating resentment in other people necessarily, right? Sometimes you can do it just to like display dominance or some shit, right? But in general, you don't want to be arguing until the end of time and get people to resent you and stuff like that, right? You want to be using stories to change their core beliefs, right? To their and provide experiences, like fucking imaginary experience. Not really imaginary, but in their head it is imaginary because they're not actually experiencing it. Yeah, that's right. It's in their head it is actually imaginary because they're not actually experiencing it, but the effect is still the same, right? So that's what I've been using quite a lot recently, and it's actually working perfectly well, right? So that's it for this video, man. See you, bro.